go.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of The Fray. We are on episode number 3. My name is Hans. We had a pretty crazy weekend here on the West Coast with Aftershock, and we're going to be talking about that, the NorCal versus SoCal exhibition event with Marvel vs. Capcom and KOF a little later. But first off, I do want to introduce who we have on the podcast today. We had few people swap in and out. First off, we got Eris. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, dude?
And Magus 1234. What's going on?
Same old.
Same old. All right. Fubar Duck. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, guys?
And Hanzo Gonzo.
Yay!
The hell is he doing here?
Yeah. So he came in on the clutch here. To fill in for, I guess, Max and Spooky, who couldn't be with us this time around, but it's all right. But as I mentioned, we got a lot of things to talk about. First off, lot of new games have come out recently. Tekken Tag Tournament 2 is probably the one of the most anticipated fighting games of the year, and it came out, I guess, it was just about a week or two ago, and we got sort of like two sides of the spectrum here. We got Eris. And we got Magus. And Eris, longtime Tekken player. Magus is someone who appreciates the game, but is just now really digging into it. Magus is someone who is just recently kind of picked up Tekken. You caught Tekken 6 like really on the ass end of it, the very tail end of that game.
Last 3 months.
Yeah, last 3 months. But you're grinding it pretty hard. What's your overall impressions of Tag 2?
Tag 2 is great. I think I share probably a lot of the same concerns that a lot of other new people getting into the series share. And I mean, just looking at like not even players who are like already established players picking up this game because they're probably going to be a little better off. But I mean like the bottom of the barrel, like Billy the Button Masher and Johnny Donuts, like those guys, like when I see what they're posting on like SRK and TZ, I kind of feel for them because they're like, I can't finish my 10-hit string, like, and questions like that. So, and and the game is like 50 characters deep. It's like there's probably something unique about every character, and it just takes like a really different perspective on picking it up and wanting to get good with it. So, but otherwise, I think it's awesome, and it's the full package, and I'm having a blast with it.
Well, what drew you to the Tekken series to begin with? I mean, what made you pick up Tekken 6 in preparation for Tag 2? I mean, what really stood out to you about the game and made you want to start training with Naps or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, it was more like the environment of all the other fighting games that were out at the time. It was kind of like when I was playing Marvel, or I would pick up a new game here and there, or Street Fighter 4 was getting to me. And basically, it was just all these games, like, there was aspects of them that, like, everybody kind of agrees, but we don't, like, harp on it. We don't dwell on it as much anymore, because what's the point? But it's just, there's these aspects of them that's like, why is this allowed? Like, why is this okay with the games and them just not being fair or like balanced in a sense with their characters? And I wanted to play a game that kind of, benefited more. Like, I feel like the hours you sink into it, you get out of it as a skill and how you play. And I don't feel I was getting that from the games that were out currently. So I was recommended to play it. They said I'd be good at it if I tried. So I was like, all right, I'll put some time into it, see if I like it. I played it in the past and, didn't really like it. But I just wanted a game that basically gave me what I put into it. So that's basically it.
Right on. Eris, you've been playing Tekken and Soul Calibur and all these Namco 3D fighters for quite some time now. I don't even know what your first Tekken was, but what's your overall impressions of Tag 2 now that you got your hands on it?
I'm very pleased overall. I think that one of my biggest gripes with the Tekken series as far as console releases is they always spend a lot of time on these bullshit modes like scenario campaign and all this like, Elisa's journal and unlocking all this fucking stuff that nobody cares about, or at least tournament players don't care about. And that frustrates me because in previous releases there's been issues with like practice mode features being missing and stuff, like record function. And this time around, they really cut all that shit out. There is no scenario campaign. I mean, you could dress up your characters, and that's cool if you're Fubar Duck. But for me, there's the stuff that you need, the practice mode and, all that stuff. It's there. And I'm really happy about that. And the netcode is really good. So I'm just really pleased with the package overall.
And so, as I mentioned, you've been playing Tekken for a really long time. What was your first Tekken?
I mean, I started competing. My first Tekken tournament was in Tekken Tag 1, but I've been playing since I was a kid.
Yeah, okay. I think everybody like dicked around with like Tag 2 at their local arcade at some point, in Tag 3, back in the day. But
Tag 3. Yeah, Tag 3. This guy's
or Tekken. Yeah, getting a little ahead of myself here. So okay, yeah. Let's see here. Fubar Duck. I mean, it seems like I know you've been playing another game that we won't mention just yet. But have you spent any time with Tekken as of late?
I actually have. First of all, we did have access to Tekken Tag Tournament 1 location tests arcade version at UFO. So I actually played quite a few games of it when we had it then. I want to say I played around 500 matches, give or take.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they had it there for a while.
Yeah. So I actually put in quite a bit of time into it then. And so since the console version has come out, I've had more time with it. And, I sort of played what I remembered in the arcade. And just recently, just a couple of days ago, I started learning a new character as well. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. And, I'm not like I don't have an amazing Tekken history or anything. I messed around with Tag 1 just like everybody else did. But I didn't really play Tekken and try to learn, as a competitive fighting gamer until Tekken 5.0.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
Hanzo, I know. Obviously, you've been playing a lot of Marvel. I mean, that's what you're known for. Have you given Tekken a shot at all at this point?
I have. I played Winter Headquarters, hella late at night. I played solo Paul in about 10 matches, and I won one match. That's my entirety Tekken Tag 2.
Have you played Tekken at all before Tag 2?
I played Tekken 6 a little bit, but not really. That was before I got into fighting games, really. I mained Eddie and smashed on the controller.
Were you born like when Tekken 3 was out?
I remember playing Tekken 2, I think, in the arcade, like an arcade near a soccer, like an indoor soccer stadium. I'd go to my mom's soccer games and play Tekken 2.
Oh, wow.
And I made Michelle, I think.
All right, okay.
You would mean Michelle.
Yeah.
All right, so Eris, I want to kick it back to you for a second, and for as you can see, we have people here who've been playing it for years, and people just played solo Paul for 10 matches. But for someone who hasn't picked up the game yet, what would you say to them to convince them to at least give it a shot?
My best evidence for it being a good game is its popularity in other countries, namely Japan and Korea. I mean, these countries, everyone knows that they're like top level players and they're really smart and they like good games. And that's what people use for evidence of it being a good game. So that's the only factual evidence I can give. But otherwise, honestly, I think it's Andrew got it perfectly. It's the type of game where you literally will get exactly how much you put into it out of it. So if you're going to Hanzo Gonzo that shit and play 10 games, all you're going to do is, tell your buddies about it, soccer stadium, who cares? But if you're going to, play it for real and put the time in, you will most certainly see improvement. And the key is just you have to have a patient and positive attitude about it. Because if you start getting pissed off that you're losing to, whatever it was, Donut Button Masher or whatever, then you're definitely going to be in trouble. You're going to quit right away. So just be patient. It's a really good game. And I think if you have the right attitude, it really pays in big amounts, huge dividends.
Yeah, I agree. One of the problems, though, because I've talked about kind of the projecting the popularity of this game amongst the competitive community and outside the already existing Tekken community, and how nowadays everybody's so quick to be like, okay, this game's R.I.P. Tekken, it's already dead, but rip Persona, rip Tekken, they're all dead.
Yeah,
when's Marvel? But and I respect that opinion, and there's some scary truth to that. But also the problem is nowadays people, especially with the competitive scene being so visible and basically being like, your test of the game that you're playing and stuff like that, and being like, okay, I've been playing as much as everybody else, so I should be pretty decent at this. People forgot that, like, there are players who have been playing like fighting games for 10, 15 years, and when you come and join their game, it's like you should lose. Especially, it's one of those things where people picked up Marvel and everybody was kind of on a fresh slate, and there was some skills that transferred over, but they weren't really like that similar that it mattered. And Marvel's so easy anyways that people could join at the same time and kind of be competitive. And of course, X Factor and all the cheap stuff in it. So, but like a game that's a little more fair, it's a little more honest, and it rewards knowledge and skill and stuff like that, as opposed to like memorization and grinding out matches. So it's hard to like jump in and see results competitively, outside of a year or something like that. So you kind of have to have the long haul in mind. So I think if you want to help a scene grow and you are ready for a fighting game that takes a lot of thinking, and you think you're a smart player and that's what you want to be fulfilled with a fighting game, this is perfect for you.
It's funny though. Is everybody wants these real honest fighting games, and you what you put in, you get back and all that. And I understand it, and I respect it too. But I think in the back of some people's minds, they do wish they had, like, people bitch about it, but they wish they had some sort of like X Factor or Wake Up Ultra. People will deny it to the end of the earth. But I mean, people are like so accustomed to having those types of mechanics, and now they're getting slapped across the face with a real fucking game like Tekken. And it's definitely kind of a wake up call. I think, especially not even to new players, but I think even players who maybe put down Tekken for a little bit and are just now coming back to it. So. I think the first thing that's going to strike most players though is just the roster, and there's just so many characters, right? And beyond that, Tekken Tag 2 is it's a tag games. You have to pick two characters. Eris, so somebody who's just getting into the game says, you know what, I want to play one of these honest fighting games. Should they jump in solo mode or tag mode? What should they start off with?
Okay, so the Tag 2's been, like, everyone knows it's been coming out, and a lot of people have been asking my opinions on what they should do as a brand new player, what characters they should pick and all that shit. And I feel like my opinion has changed a little bit. Initially, I was suggesting that, people should pick very easy characters because the game is so hard, but someone brought to my attention, and I agree with this, that I think people should consider the difficulty of the character they want to pick, but they should pick a character that they really enjoy playing. And I think the reason for that is because it's discouraging losing. So you should try to pick a character that you at least enjoy learning from your loss with. And that's really important. It doesn't matter if you pick solo or two characters, because the point is learning the system and learning how to move and learning how to get off the ground and all that stuff. Go ahead.
But it seems like the tag mode, isn't that like part of the system? I mean, or is it not? I mean, I guess solo mode's allowed in tournaments. I mean,
as of right now, solo is not banned, and I don't think enough is known about it to ban it. Okay. And if you play solo as a new player, you do have to understand that you're missing out on at least using the tag features, but you will learn them in the defense against your opponent. Okay. So. If you feel like solo, I don't see it as being a negative thing. In fact, I think solo is very powerful. So if you want to play solo, go for it. If you feel like learning the tag system in two characters, I think that's a good idea too.
Yeah, one more thing to add on to that, because as you alluded to earlier, I'd been training with somebody who's really good at the game. And he told me, he said, because right off the bat, I was like, hey, this Devil Jin character is pretty cool. And he's like, don't play a Mishima. Don't do it. Just don't do it. And I was playing him, and then I went back to play like Miguel and Alyssa, who are considered very simple characters, and I was like, all right. But when I lose, I'm kind of like, I'd like rather lose with, like Eris said, a character that I like. It's like I'm gonna get bodied. Like, it's gonna happen. So why am I gonna get bodied with some character that I'm just kind of like half-assing it with? So
Precisely.
Yeah, right. So it was like I stuck it out with the Mishimas. I still am, and I could see why you shouldn't play him, but I like them, so it's like whatever.
I mean, I think I agree with you guys. I mean, when you're playing a fighting game, you got to play a character that you like at the end of the day, or else I kind of feel like it's like, well, why are you playing? I mean, I know there are some players who really will just gravitate towards top tier characters, Fubarduck, and they don't really.
That is a totally untrue accusation.
But
or some people gravitate towards styles like Hanzo, so you might want to play a stylistic character.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's it's definitely important just to kind of go through the roster and see who you like playing. Just whether it's their the appearance of the character or their move list, because I think after a while, if you take input from other people but you're not really feeling it, if you're not feeling the character, it's going to be hard to really stick with the game long term. So, and speaking of keeping with the game long term, these games these days, they live and die by their netcode, and I hear Tekken Tag 2 has pretty good netcode. Can you guys comment on that?
It's quite amazing, actually. I've been playing on Xbox Live, and the default setting for network is 4 bars and above. And every connection I've had on 4 bars or above feels like, it's not perfect, but it's completely playable.
Yeah, that's how I would put it. It's definitely not perfect, but compared to honestly, I can say any 3D or even any fighting game, this game on 5 bars at least, I'm stunned at times when I'm playing it, and I just forget sometimes that it's online. So there are hiccups. It does, do some goofy shit sometimes, but overall, I'm very, very impressed. I hate online, and I'm playing it too, so I think it's good.
Okay. Does anybody have any insight as to how they pulled this off? Because it seems like it's been this huge mystery for every fighting game that's come out so far.
Yeah.
It's been really hit or miss. Like Street Fighter 4, it's passable. You'll run into some shitty connections, but it works sometimes. Virtua Fighters is pretty good, but it's really all over the place. Does anybody have any idea what they did with Tekken Tag 2 to make it so good?
Well, you know what? I personally, I heard from top secret, people that it was not going to be great. Just before launch, I heard some bad things, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's whack." But I don't know what happened. I don't know what they did. They flipped the switch and baited everybody, but it's just really good. And a funny thing is, it shows that I'm not an online player. When I'm playing online, sometimes I'll forget that I'm online. It feels so good, and I'll push buttons during a combo to make my opponent drop the combo. But they're not sitting next to me. So it's like, I just look like an idiot, What am I doing, But yeah, online's good. I really like it.
So it sounds, from what you guys have said, it sounds like this is pretty much the best netcode we've seen in a fighting game so far. Do you think it's to the point where online matches in Tekken can be seen as legitimate, on the same level as legitimate tournament wins, or is it still not there yet?
No way, and it'll never. Fighting games online, just frame lag here and there will change everything. And the fact of just physically being next to your opponent and how important that is for a tournament. There's all kinds of psychological aspects and everything. Online's just always going to be something just to kind of hit buttons with. I haven't even tried the online yet. I'm typically not an online player either, like Eris. So, and so I haven't really messed with it yet, but. It's just, to me, it's there. It's nice. It'll be matchup practice, and
that's what I was just gonna say.
Right, be able to get ready for tournaments. But I don't ever consider a win. If I beat Rip online or something, I'll just be like, yay! I lagged him out or something. I'm not gonna ever think that, oh yeah, I'm at his level now or whatever.
That's not. I hope that people don't go into Tekken Tag 2 thinking that online, just because it's good or better now, that it's I still don't think it's real Tekken. The good thing about online is that it's good enough now for players to use it as a tool to actually improve and practice with punishing and throw breaking. Those things are all very doable online. Right. However, it's still not really Tekken. It's still Tekken Online. Let's not get crazy. It's just a tool to learn, and it's great that it exists now.
Right. And again, that's great news because at least it'll keep people's interest. Because with Tekken 6, when I bought it, back in the day, I really enjoyed the game and I really, really wanted to learn it and I really wanted to play it. But the online was atrocious. It was so bad. It was horrible.
The online was ass. Me and Rival picked that game up and we were like, this is bullshit, and we just like tossed the game out the window and went back to Street Fighter 4.
Right, yeah, and I think everybody has realistic expectations at this point as far as what fighting games can bring to the table when it comes to net play. But Tekken 6 was so bad that you couldn't get any matchup practice at all. Like I can usually deal with like a laggy match here and there and be like just kind of write it off, whatever. But the fact that like every single match you like it was like a completely different game, and it was probably detrimental to play.
Oh, absolutely, it was, yeah.
Yeah, so it at least they knocked it out of the park with online play, and I think Eris, it probably has a lot to do with what you were talking about earlier. They had that scenario mode in Tekken 6 with
dude.
I fell off like a bridge or like into I fell off the water like 40 times playing Lars in that scenario mode. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I even playing this?
Yeah, exactly, dude. And they make you play those fucking modes. Why do they make you play them? To unlock stuff, Come on, dude.
Well, what was going through my mind is like, why did they spend all these fucking resources like on this? Like,
dude.
Why didn't they put the money and resources and the manpower into like working out like good netcode so people actually like continue to play this game? So, in any case, it's great that the netcode's there. The hardcore player base. I mean, it's they're always gonna be able to learn matchups and connect with other people and get the practice they need. But at the end of the day, from what I've seen with Tekken, is it doesn't seem to be very spectator friendly. And I don't know if Eris, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this as far as how we can get the game in front of more people who may not even necessarily like want to play it, but can at least appreciate what's going on screen. I mean, how can we get more people basically just tuning into streams and being more interested in what the game's all about?
Well, the thing is that to really be able to appreciate the game, you have to understand it to a certain extent. And unfortunately, unlike other fighting games, like Street Fighter, for example, understanding it is not that easy. I mean, Street Fighter, it's like, oh, you jump over this fireball and he's going to do an uppercut, and it's very simple. Yeah. But Tekken, understanding how, this person is moving around and how hard it is to do what he's doing and all that stuff, it's just not something that someone can turn on a stream and say, hey, that's dope. So we have the final product, and it is a little bit flashier than Tekken 6. It has tag combos and all kinds of shit. But I think if this game is going to survive as a spectator, fighting game, I think people just have to go a little bit out of their way to educate themselves. It's not that hard, but a little bit of supplemental material is necessary for Tekken, and I think that's really the only way it's going to stand the test of time with, as a spectator game.
Well, Hanzo, if you had a Twitch TV, Tekken 6 stream link come up on your Twitter feed, I mean, what's going to motivate you to actually click the link? I mean,
I wouldn't watch Tekken 6. No offense.
Or Tekken Tag, excuse me.
Tekken Tag. Well, I actually did watch the Big Two and the Wednesday Night Fight Tekken streams, and I did enjoy them. The fact that I was enjoying because it was really, I understood how hard it was to do some of the things because I did play Tekken for a bit. I was mashing around. I understand how hard it is, but to market it to more people, I would think drawing them in with maybe not like technical commentary, like maybe more like bare bones commentary, like explaining like what a 1 and a 2 is, comparatively to Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because when you start dropping all those numbers as terms, like it just starts sounding like a math class to people, and they're like, "Oh, dude, I already dropped out of high school. I'm not trying to go back." So,
see, that's another issue. That I had a theory that a good idea to make people interested in Tekken is, there's a huge demographic that is out there that is never going to play Tekken, but you want to get them to at least want to watch Tekken. So I was thinking it would be smart of the Tekken community to really focus on just talking a lot of shit to each other so that there's drama. And people like drama. They don't even give a shit if they're watching Mahjong. If it's drama, they want to watch it. So hopefully generally speaking, the Tekken scene has a lot of loudmouths, and hopefully these loudmouths open their mouths, and start talking shit, and that'll cause some drama, and people will tune in just to see people get pissed. I'm hoping that's what happens.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I have an idea here, and call me crazy. I mean, this just
crazy.
This just came to me the other night. I think this would be a great way to really just blow it out of the water with this game. Just turn on the stream, like it's this camera that like pans down across this DJ, and this DJ's like cutting up hella fresh, and there's like pyrotechnics going off, smokes, like smoke machines, and there's like a girl on one side, another ring girl over here, and it's like teams of 3, right? And it's like the baddest motherfuckers in Tekken, that anybody's ever seen. And, it's kind of like, exhibition matches, where they get together, kind of build up the players, do like player profiles beforehand. I don't know. I don't know if anything like that's even been done yet, but I think that could go a long way.
Get some lawn chairs and shit. Yeah, that sounds legit.
Yeah, but all joking aside, I think they had Tekken Crash in Korea.
Right. You just mean like some really big production, like
yeah.
You're saying the players should dance after they win.
Right.
Yes.
Where they had Tekken Crash, and then the most recent one. What is it called? Eric?
Busters.
Like Tekken Busters. Yeah.
I don't think they get the translation. Yeah.
Best title for a show ever. Tekken Busters. I mean, seriously, I think
I should be on that show.
Tekken Busters with Andrew Kane.
I think for me, at this point, I would rather watch an exhibition like that, whether it's like a 3-on-3 kind of thing where they kind of build up the players, just so I can learn a little bit more like about like the SoCal scene or maybe some of the East Coast guys or whatever. I think for me personally, since I'm not like heavily vested in the game, it's going to be hard for me to sit through like a typical like weekday tournament and watch a Tekken tournament. I would rather have a little bit of build up, learn a bit about the community, and have a little bit of even just a bit of production values in there just to make it like entertaining. And I think if there's a little bit of that out there here in the States, I think that could definitely draw in the attention of some people who don't play the game. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's funny you mentioned Busters because I know a lot of people that come to the arcade, they don't even play Tekken at all. And when Tekken Busters was coming out every week, they were like, yo, did you see that newest episode? And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing watching? You don't even know shit about this. Like randoms like Blockbuster John or some random dude. Like, what the hell are you doing watching Tekken? But they were interested. So you're right. There is something there. A fat Korean DJ and some pyrotechnics, that does a lot for the game, I guess.
Yeah, DJ Haunts. But no, I mean, I agree. I think having instead of running these weeklies that might be getting kind of dry for people, if since they've kind of stuck around and already learned the storyline of the other games, and they might already be to the point where like, oh god, do I really want to tune into a game that I don't even understand that well? Instead of going that route, instead kind of try to like inject them with like some humanity behind the game, like showing them the people, basically the story beforehand, and then when you do have tournaments, there's a little more reason to watch, and then when you watch, hopefully you learn. So it kind of just and I feel like when you honestly learn and start to understand Tekken at a high level, at least understanding what you're seeing, it becomes like one of the most like interesting games. But getting to that level can be, or at least leading people to that level could be difficult.
Right. And what's really interesting right now about the scene in general is it seems like every pocket scene kind of has their game now. Like we're really at that point where, the Street Fighter guys have Street Fighter 4, Marvel guys have Marvel 3, now the Tekken guys have Tag 2, and another game that's recently come out that is kind of like filled the void for the anime community is Persona 4. And Fubar Duck, well, first off, let me back up a little bit. I know that this game really blew it up like right out of the gates. I was the week it came out, I was in New York, and I went to Big 2 basically just to check it out, and there was like 50 entrants for Persona 4, and it was like twice as much Marvel at the time. And since then, as far as I know, it's died down a little bit. But Fubar Duck, I know you're heavily interested in the game. You've been throwing a lot of tournaments at Arcade UFO. Do you feel the anime community? I mean, this is really the game that they've been waiting for.
I feel like it is a game that. Well, it has a lot going for it. First of all, because it's a good game. And secondly, because it did come out, in the right place at the right time. It is an Arc Systems Works game, or rather an Arc Systems Works game. So it's a game that follows sort of the same style as Guilty Gear and BlazBlue. Obviously, there's, a lot of differences, but it draws a lot of similarities from those games as far as playstyle and pace of the game. So anybody who's familiar with Arc Systems fighters will be able to, look at Persona and play it and, get the feeling, oh yeah, okay, this is an Arc Systems fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But another great thing about Persona, for better or worse, it came from a very extremely popular RPG series.
Oh yeah, that helps. Yeah.
Which of course needs no explanation. So when the game first came out for arcades in Japan back in March, I believe, it pretty much just blew it like straight out of the water. I remember hearing a statistic that it was the most played Nesca title in Nesca's history in its first month.
Well, I mean, you remember when we went out to Japan, we were in the arcades, right? And it was like everybody was playing. You had like
sure enough.
Yeah, you had like this the classic like businessman who was at the arcade, right, and was there with his briefcase. But you also had like 20-something kid playing it. Then you had like the schoolgirl playing it, and then some younger kids playing it. It was just like from all walks of life. It seems like everybody was on that game, and it. I don't know if it's necessarily the same. It's definitely not the same here in the States, but again, the turnout has been pretty impressive. All things considered. At Arcade UFO, I mean, have things stayed pretty consistent there as far as when it comes to interest of the game?
Most definitely. It seems that first of all, like at least at the arcade here, Persona has drawn the most new faces of a fighting game since Street Fighter 4 Vanilla, I think. Right. And we've just been seeing faces that we never saw before, and either Persona is their first fighting game or the first fighting game they started playing seriously. And Persona, since it came out, has been. I believe it's currently the most played game at UFO as well. So it's really just come out really strong. And as far as tournament turnout, the first event we hosted for Persona and Marvel on the same day, we had, I want to say like 27 for Persona and 28 for Marvel. So we had exactly one more for Marvel. So the numbers were about the same. Mm. And then most recently, we had a huge turnout for Marvel. Like almost 40 people showed up for Marvel. And we still had 25 for Persona. So, out of two events, the numbers for Persona have been at least consistent. Of course, the game is still new. Mm-hmm. But for the, I guess, month and a half or so it's been out, it's been very strong. And there's still a lot of interest in the game.
Right. Now, Hanzo Gonzo, I know, obviously you're a heavy Marvel player, but you've been playing Persona, it seems like, from what I understand, just as much as Marvel. And I know you'd given like KOF a shot and dropped it pretty quick, but you played solo Paul 10 games. That's pretty impressive. But it sounds like, you've really stuck with Persona. I mean, what drew you to the game, and what makes you continue to want to play it?
The thing I like about Persona a lot is I actually played Guilty Gear a lot as a kid, I guess.
Oh God, that makes me feel old.
Yeah.
Who hired him?
I really like Guilty Gear as a game. It was just before my time. So when it comes to Persona, it's very much like it.
Everything was before your time, dude.
On Marvel 3.
Cell phones were before your time.
Anyways, so I was really drawn to that, and it's really, really easy to pick up along like as a sub game, comparative to like KOF. Like for me to play KOF, I'd have to go down to Southtown like every single weekend and grind it out. But with Persona, I can play online. I can derp it up and still do fairly well.
Fuck that. Go to the arcade.
So wait, so but is the online's pretty good for Persona?
Yeah, the online's very good, and it allows you to match up. Train, and when you get 4 or 5 bars, it becomes really, really playable.
Now, Magus, you were, I mean, you're one of the biggest fans I know of the Guilty Gear series, but you've stuck with Tekken over Persona, and as far as I know, you haven't even really given the game a shot. Like, why is that? I mean, with someone who has such a deep background with these Arc System games like Guilty Gear, what made you not want to play Persona?
Well, I feel like Guilty Gear was really unique to the genre, and it was kind of at a time where I was learning about fighting games, and all there was to play for me was Street Fighter, and that was it. And there was Marvel and Third Strike, but nobody was really playing with the arcades. Mm-hmm. And most, like, there was a couple randoms playing Guilty Gear and a ton of people playing like CVS. So it was basically those two games that I had comp in, and I was like, okay, I'll try it out, and I learned it, and it was just like really wild and really fun and really broken, and I think it was just at a time when I wasn't really satisfied with the games around me, and I tried it, and it happened to be more entertaining than everything else that was out, and I think it just had a lot of, like revolutionary ideas in the fighting game genre. It was really like, like the grandfather of anime fighting games anyways. And I don't think any game since then has really done the genre justice. And if anything, they've become more like weird and just kind of more like like centered around like schoolgirls and cat girls and like all kinds of girls and just like and it's like, where's the real men, like where's the dude that are gonna punch these chicks in the face? Like that's that's what I'm looking for, and they just
I think
That's Akihiko. That's your character, man.
Yeah, come on.
It's
I
waiting
feel like
for you.
I feel like he's a schoolgirl, like, compared to what Guilty Gear had. Look at Potemkin. Like Potemkin would eat that guy for breakfast. Like, are you
No way.
A chair versus Potemkin?
Dude, he
Like,
has a
that's
chair
joke.
and a cape.
Yeah, okay, but
And the baddest ass theme music in the game.
right. No, and the game itself is fine. It's just, again, it's at this point for me where I just made the choice. There was people around me who were willing to teach me to put my time into a game that is going to pay off in the long run. Whether a lot of people play it or not, that does not concern me. I just want to be playing a game that what I put in, I feel like I'm going to get out. And that's kind of why, for me personally, maybe Persona just came at a wrong time. I would have tried it. I would have liked to mess with it and see, because I was kind of excited to try it leading up to it. Like the 4-button thing kind of turned me off, but some people sold it to me, like the idea of it at least. But also, like, there's the big issue of the people, like, playing those games. You have to play with the people that play those games, and they tend to be like not people who ever went out in public. So it's just kind of one of those things, like, and I don't know. I don't think I could ever invite some of those people over to my house to have a session without like being really embarrassed, like around my cats or something. So.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Well,
But
Hanzo,
anyways.
I do have to agree with you that the game itself. I mean, it's I guess it is easy enough and simple enough to pick up that you can kind of have it as a side game and without wanting to pull your hair out, because KOF is one of those games where you have to pretty much only play KOF, and Tekken I feel like is the same way, like you're a Tekken player, but Persona you can play games like Marvel and stay pretty focused, or any of these other games, and still kind of keep it on the side, or have Persona on the side is one of the games you like to play without stressing too much. And it's definitely a fun game. I mean, personally, I enjoyed it. I've went out to New York again. The game just came out, and Nerd Josh was grinding it a lot, so it was spooky. So we're sitting there, playing it and figuring stuff out. But at the end of the day, like I didn't have the same drive to play that game is say Marvel. Like I can sit there and play like 40 games of Marvel, and it's like, okay, this is a lot of fun. But I just didn't really get that from Persona. Eris, you are down there at Super Arcade. Do you have any insight as to like what the scene's like down there? I mean, are people still showing up for the tournaments down there? I mean, do you have any idea what's going on with the Persona community down there?
Yeah,
right now?
I mean, I'm there, and just like Fubar said, the first week when it came out, I mean, we were like, where did all these fucking people come from? And they're people we've never seen before. Just
Right.
like this crowd of just super weird, antisocial people. And
Yep.
everyone was really friendly, of course, but just people.
And really
I mean,
big.
I work there. I know everybody. And this group of people was all brand new, and there was a ton of them. And they came back, and it did kind of taper off a little bit, but there's a lot of people that they come to the arcade on other days now, and I first saw them at the arcade when they came for the Persona tournament, so that's a good thing. I myself, I don't really play it, but it seems like it's drawing in a new crowd, and that's always good. Maybe they'll check out some other fighting games and be interested in those, so That's cool. I think it's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good perspective to have, and you know, that tends to get kind of outshined by the my game has more players or my game's better than yours that seems to go back and forth between people nowadays. You know, and I know most like notable people in the scene like who've been around long enough, they don't really ever care about that. That's not an issue to them, but I think a lot of younger guys like they really want like their game to be the only game that matters, but
Yeah.
you really got to realize and have a larger perspective on things like any fighting game that makes it big and gets people out of their asses and into like a social environment is a good thing. It's only going to bring more people, more attention, and you know these people, like Era said, may start to play other games and you know just get to know each other.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think the thing is that it's a really bad idea to have that kind of a mentality, but it's a different thing when you're talking shit. You know, I say that kind of stuff all day. Yo, you know, that game sucks. Why don't you play a man's game or something like that?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just talking shit. If you really
Right.
believe that the way a lot of people actually do believe that, it's such a stupid attitude. You're only like ruining everything for yourself. You could be enjoying all these streams or maybe trying these games out, but instead you have this like, you know, shithead attitude and it's not going to get you anywhere.
Right, exactly. Like when I pop off like that about games, you know that I, you know, it's not that I hate the game. It's more, it's just I'm just making like these jabs at the people.
Yeah, talking
hoping,
shit.
actually hoping that they'll get so disgusted. Like, you know, look, I'm going to show him on like throw like this major tournament like just for this game, you know, like, and then they'll get more passionate about the game and just continue to play, you know. And you know, we've actually seen a little bit of that locally here, where it's people were like shitting on Persona so much that they brought like extra setups to Dragon Lounge just to prove us wrong. It was funny. But Fubar, I want to ask you, as far as like the longevity of this game, I mean, do you feel that this is sort of like this in between game between like BlazBlue and the like Extend or whatever the name was, between that game and I guess they have another installment of BlazBlue coming out? Do you feel like it's sort of like this, it's just kind of wedged in between BlazBlue, or do you think it's going to stand on its own and really have legs long term?
Well, it's a weird question because, as we already know, there is a new version of BlazBlue coming out in December for arcades in Japan. It's already been location tested.
Right.
And it was announced right after SBO happened, you know, which had Persona as a game. So it came at sort of a weird time. And I mean, Japan's community is big enough to where they can say, okay, we have these people who play Persona, these people who play BlazBlue, these people play Under Night in Birth or whatever. And a few of them will play, you know, a few of them will share games and play something else. But at least in the US, the community of people that plays, you know, quote unquote anime or plays those type of games, the community is not large enough to, you know, split and have 1/3 play this game, 1/3 play this game, 1/3 play this game.
Okay. Yeah.
And have it big enough to be like an Evo size entry type game. So if anything, my primary concern is that we've got a new Guilty Gear revision coming out next year. A lot of people are excited about that.
Right. Yeah.
The new BlazBlue will be updated to consoles probably by March or April of 2013. And I would say that at least for the foreseeable short-term future, and by that I mean Evo 2013, it does look like that Persona will be the main game in that genre to play. And the reason I say that is because the other two games are not going to be out soon enough.
Oh, here in the States, you mean? Yeah. Okay.
Here in the United States, you know, if you're an American and you're playing in American tournaments, then, you know, and that matters to you like it does to me, then I would say Persona is your safest bet until the end of the tournament season next year.
Well, and so speaking on that, just briefly, you know, someone who's invested all this time into Persona, and then like BlazBlue comes out. I mean, do you really see people shifting over to BlazBlue after they're you know, so deeply invested in this game, like even after the tournament season is over next year?
I mean, some people might. Like, some people really, really like BlazBlue. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'll be honest, I played the game, I played BlazBlue when it first came out. I played Calamity Trigger. Mm-hmm. And I believe I learned the game at a high level. And I played Continuum Shift 1 a bit, but not quite to a high level. And Persona is a lot more interesting to me than the BlazBlue series. Mm-hmm. Just, you know, personally as a player, I like the mechanics of Persona. I think it's a very honest game. There's no characters that you're like, what the hell is this character doing? I can't even tell what their moves are. Kof Arakune, Kof.
Yeah.
So, it feels like a game that I could play for a long time and be happy with for a long time. And, it does have all the qualities of a good game where it seems like, the amount of time you invest into it, you'll learn more about it. You'll learn how to block things better. You learn how to put on better pressure. And
yeah, I mean, I'm definitely right there with you. I mean, when it comes to Persona, it's like a little more like lighthearted than BlazBlue is, and
Sure.
I think it's just like a little bit more like fun to play. You know what I mean? Like I messed around with BlazBlue a little bit when it first came out, the various releases that it had, and it was a good game, but when it comes to just like a game that I want to sit down and play, Persona is just more fun for whatever reason, So, long term, yeah, definitely hope people stick with it. But as I mentioned before, we're at this point where each community at least they have their own game and they can sit there and play these games, because there's a point where a lot of anime players were playing Marvel because it was the closest thing they could get to like an anime game, because they had like air dashing and shit.
Right, definitely.
So, but now they're like, okay, I don't really have to play Marvel just because it's the only thing that people are playing. I have a game that I can really identify with and relate with, and again, same with Tekken, and I guess we're at this weird point right now where we're kind of like at the tail end of like all the fighting games coming out. They're going to come out in the foreseeable future, if for a really long time. I think like after like Dead or Alive, I guess that's like it. Like I don't know if any other fighting game is really coming out after that. So again, it's just for me, and I think for anybody, everybody who's on this podcast, mostly who's been in the scene for a while, can at least be happy that we're at a point where there is a game for pretty much everybody. But so I do want to shift gears a little bit from the games to an event that went down this weekend. Aftershock, and this was one hell of an event. I guess we put like a good 3 to 4 months worth of planning and wrangling up players and just coming up with a concept, and shout outs to Ultra David and James Chin, Chris Seglia, everybody who was involved with this thing. But Aftershock, for those of you who are listening and don't know what this is, it was an exhibition tournament, NorCal versus SoCal, and it featured the King of Fighters 13 and Ultimate Marvel versus Capcom 3. And the King of Fighters 13, it was a 5v5, and then Marvel was an 8v8. And it wasn't just like we threw a bunch of players into a room and just said, all right, let's see what happens. As I mentioned, Chris Seglia, he put a lot of effort into these like promo reels for the players to kind of get backstory on their thoughts on the other players in the exhibition, and I wish some of the players talked a little bit more shit than they did, but overall I think it was really cool. Just the entire presentation, just the whole build up through the entire event. In the way that everything shook out, I think it was a lot because of the entire pace of the broadcast was sort of built around these promo videos and stuff. So anyway, I had a lot of fun down there, and I think we had 10,000 people tuning in to this event, and it wasn't even like a major, it wasn't like a major or a traditional major. So I was pretty impressed. To just go over results real quickly, I don't have a lot of details here, but I do want to touch on the on KOF. Just real briefly here, NorCal got blown up pretty hard, and it's honestly kind of a sad story. I don't want to spend too much time on this. It is pretty sad. It's a pretty sad story, and it's
sad for a couple reasons though. Like where does NorCal KOF go?
Well, yeah. Well, so here's the thing, and it kind of gets back to like Tekken. We're talking about these games kind of live and die by their netcode. It's like the players really want to play this game up here in NorCal, but they don't have these guys who have been playing KOF games for years and years and years up here. So we've all been kind of just learning from the ground up, save maybe like 2 or 3 people in the scene, and with no netcode, it's really hard to get matchup experience and drag people out of their houses to have these sessions and whatnot. So basically what happened is pretty much five of our best the best five NorCal guys that we have went down there and competed against basically their C team or D team down there. In these guys from UCI and then CMD Duck, and so it was at the end of the day it was sort of like this lose situation. You're going down there and you're playing these guys that aren't even SoCal's like top like A tier S tier guys, and so if you beat them, right, you're in this position where you're like, okay, great, you got through like our D team or whatever. But then if you lose, and that's what happened, it's like, wow, you guys are fucking awful. Like you lost to our D team or C team or whatever. So I kind of felt for the NorCal KOF guys going into it just because it was sort of like this lose situation. So, Fubarduck, did you end up catching any of the stream?
Unfortunately, I had some plans this past weekend, and I missed Aftershock. I still haven't watched the archive.
Right, but you can kind of speak to that with KOF because I know you're a fan, but it's pretty hard to like find people to play the game unless they're really motivated. And if you're not surrounded by these guys like Bala or whoever else, it's hard to really get sort of that deeper understanding of the game. And do you agree?
I agree, but fortunately, there's always been a pretty strong scene, at least here in Austin. So. And there's a huge pool of players that are better than me at the game here too. So it's very easy to play and get good.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can definitely like learn a decent amount of the game and get confident at the game. Even just by going to Southtown playing like BBZ and Fixel and Jose. I mean, all those guys are really great, fantastic players. But at the end of the day, it just didn't really shake out the way they wanted it to. I think we were hoping that it would come down to BBZ versus like CMD Duck because that's how we really thought things were going to shake out. But TDO actually ended up, I want to say he ended up taking out BBZ, and so they didn't even make it down to they didn't even make it down to their last guy Duck. So I guess it was like 5. I don't know what the exact score was, but it wasn't pretty. I mean, there was a lot of drop combos and stuff, but it
wasn't pretty. And I look at the NorCal team and I watch them play. I'm not a KOF player. It's not my favorite game by any means, but I'm just like, you guys are not putting in the time or you're not playing it right or something. And I just have to go back to when we were leaving. We left the tournament, remember? We left the scene of the crime, and we were back at the hotel lobby, and we're leaving out with some of the KOF players, and we run into Champ and CJ, and Champ looks at him, and he's like, what are you guys doing? Like you guys are ass. Like, you're not winning. Like, you're not winning. What are you doing? He's like, KOF is dead. Like, he's like, the game is dead. Like, he just straight up said everything, like, you would kind of feel a little reserved to say, like, right to their faces, like, right there. Yeah. He's like, you guys are not winning. You need to win or stop playing.
And really, I guess what I should do is just cut the bullshit here, because if you look at Cafe Id, right, it's like 5-7 guys or something, and to my understanding, they're the only guys out there who play KOF 13 because from what I know, that the board is pretty expensive to get out there, and people just kind of prefer like 2002 or like 98 over it. And don't quote me on that, but that's just kind of like what I've heard. So it comes down to these 5 to 7 guys who are just grinding like maniacs and come out to Evo and blow everybody up.
That's not even unheard of. Like, how many scenes have you known where their champ comes out and does damage at Evo? Mm-hmm. Who come from a scene that is, only 5 or 6 guys. Like this.
All you need is one guy. One. Yeah, and who is as smart as you are or smarter, that is motivated, and you have to hate his guts, and you can go to the top with one opponent, in my opinion.
I completely agree, because it'll drive both of you to learn almost everybody in the game. Because you will be like, you know what, I'm going to try some new shit on him. Or he's going to try some new stuff, so I need to be prepared. And it's just like, then, at some point, you guys are like, you know what, we're getting good, let's try this and versus other people. Let's go
exactly.
and really compete. And it's just, I don't feel like NorCal KOF really, maybe besides like 2 of the guys, really even have like, the drive. They're kind of just playing the game for whatever reason. I don't know, but
yeah, I mean,
they're just not competitive right now, and maybe it'll take time. I don't want to like put them on blast too hard, but all at the same time, it's like NorCal usually has so many good players in every genre we touch. You
Yeah.
know, like usually when we send out a squad to go up against SoCal, it'll be like, you know, versus their best, and it'll be a good fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's. I guess they're. I mean, at the end of the day, there's no excuses. I mean, they lost, and it is what it is. You know, but I think the bigger picture here is kind of like what's going to happen with you know KOF like moving forward. And I'm sure like SoCal is going to be fine, but like NorCal KOF, I mean, that was a pretty devastating loss. That was like a punch to the gut kind of loss. You know, that really like just knocks the wind out of you. You know, so it's just I feel like this is a real like pivotal moment for the scene.
I'm really surprised that you're saying that, man. I mean, what kind of a scene is it if, you know, they lose at a tournament, they're like, fuck this, I'm not going to play this game. What is that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's...
Well, that's why we're questioning it.
I wouldn't even question it. I mean, if you have any faith in your own community, then you should know that they're solid players and they're going to, you know, get back on the saddle. I wouldn't even question that unless you really have no faith in these guys, you know?
If it was solid play.
Well, I mean, the thing is like I've been here from the start with the KOF community, and we had like you know people who are coming out pretty strong early on, but it's really died down. I mean, to be honest with you, and it's really died down. And a lot of players have been coming to me saying, you know what, like I love KOF, but it's so hard to find anybody to play with outside of like the Southtown Rambats, like every other Sunday, 2 times a month. You know, like nobody's really having sessions and stuff. You can't play online. You know, so it's just like it's like night and day comparing you know the NorCal and SoCal scenes. But anyway, those guys got blown up. Hopefully, you know, hopefully they stick with it and continue to play, and we maybe like draw some more people into the NorCal KOF scene. But right now, you
Persona.
yeah. Well, right now, you know, I kind of feel like the NorCal scene is definitely like on life support. So hopefully, you know, hopefully this is the kick in the ass they needed to take things a little more seriously. But you know, the overall tone of Aftershock, this being an invitational, and with the with the promo intros and all the videos and whatnot. Magus, do you look forward to commentating an event like this over like a major, or what are your thoughts on something like Aftershock?
Yeah, I mean, of course, because it's more like I could be myself a little more. It could have a little more fun with it, you know. And David's an awesome guy to commentate with, since
right.
You know, I know him personally too. So it's like, you know, we're friends. We could just get on there, kind of talk shit to each other and have fun and watch the blow-ups together. You know, we're both commentating it as commentators, but I feel like there was more of a sense of it. We were sitting on a couch and watching them at home, you know, and just kind of like talking shit. So, and that's what I love doing, you know. That's a lot of fun. I love doing it in a more professional manner like Evo too, but to commentate something like this is really dope. And also because, you know, Chris and all you guys did such a great job kind of really creating the storyline and being able to tell it on stream live and in-house. So really, you know, we don't have to go out of our way so much to kind of give the background of everything that's happened. Not only, you know, give you play-by-play and give you the story behind everything. It's kind of already out there and visualized for the people watching at home. So now when they sit down and get ready to watch a match, they already understand the kind of tension and what's behind it that maybe me and David and everybody who follows our scene already understands, and why it's so exciting to us. But a lot of these people don't get that. They don't know that backstory and why this guy's like so nervous and why this means so much, you know. So it was really awesome to have these videos to kind of really show, like, to tell that story, and so people understand.
So what do you have to say to the people? Because I've seen some comments on the stream and YouTube and whatnot. They say this is like staged. You know, it's like fake rivalries, or it wasn't real rivalries. I mean, what do you have to say to those people?
Well, I mean, fake rivalries. I mean, I could be a rival with you, Hans, when we play a fighting game. I don't know, like, is that staged? Like, no, we could be friends. Like, we could all be cordial to each other, but still have a line in the sand. It's one of those things where NorCal, and it's not even, you could get even more micro about it. You could say Southtown and TNT players, they have a big rivalry. They hate losing to each other, you know, and it's just like, but don't they play together? Yes, of course they do, you know, but there exists this, you know, geographical line in the sand which kind of separates us too, from who we have trained with and where we identify ourselves with, and it's kind of proving which area is better than the next. And it's like, when these guys are at home and they're not mic'd up, they're talking a gang of shit about these guys, and they are watching their game being like, this guy is ass.
Yeah.
And they don't believe me, and you think this is staged and it's not like a real rivalry. You're nuts. Like, you're crazy. Like, you actually probably got the lighter side of it, because most of these guys, they want to be, they don't want to be a villain. They don't want to come off as hated.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to get up there and really say what they mean, especially like imagine if Hanzo went up there and would have been like, oh yeah, Clockwork's just a Smash Brothers player now, like he's ass, like he's not gonna do it, like come on, like like he would get blown up. Like
I don't understand why people didn't talk more shit. I mean, what happened?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is they don't really want to get blown up now, like publicly, and
why not?
I think the players, at least in the pregame interviews, were just like not comprehending what the event was or something. Because I seem to be like, me and Knives were probably the only people talking a little bit of shit.
Yeah.
And it was all in good fun in my mind. But like I thought my interview was pretty tame, and then I look at everyone else's and they're sucking each other's dicks. Like I really didn't understand.
Yeah, I actually agree. I agree with that, because I think maybe they didn't get the scope of it. Like, we were trying to ham it up.
What happened? I didn't understand that either. I mean, some of these guys are like the most notorious trash talkers in the history of fighting games, and they're like, yeah, he's a solid player. He's got great defense, and who gives a shit? Call him a bitch. Tell him he's ugly, and you're like, come on.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
I think next time, if we do something like this, if Chris goes out there to do interviews or something, I should probably go along with them and kind of direct a little, because I think they didn't, like Hanzo said, they didn't really get what was going on, so they're like, our time is now. It's like, dude, come on, really?
I mean, I still thought they were pretty good. I mean,
they're honest.
Yeah. I mean, the way that Chris cut them up and everything, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, some of the guys were maybe like a little lost on what they should say, but like, I guarantee you that whatever you like took away from the intro videos, I mean, they're awesome all, but that doesn't even matter. When these guys sat down to play against their opponent, these guys were sweating bullets.
Yeah, it came out in the gameplay. Yeah,
they weren't like, oh, okay, this is just some like little exhibition. These guys were so serious. I mean, I remember looking at X-Ray's face when he got perfected by, I think it was Knives. He was like, fuck. He looked so mad, and then GC Yoshi on Twitter, like he's really upset that he didn't perform as well as he would like, but at the end of the day, I mean, that shit was super free for NorCal though. Hanzo, like you going into it, I mean, before the event even went down, I mean, what were your thoughts just going into Aftershock as a Marvel player?
Going in, I was confident that we could take it pretty easily in my mind, because we had Champ as our like bazooka, in other words.
Yeah.
And Champ just did not perform whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was really up to like a couple of the guys, like half the team, to really carry it.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you feel like that's a blessing in disguise? Do you think?
Yeah, I think I think esport wise, it built a really crazy story. Like if you look even on the SoCal side, no one really noticed like how Infrit and Fnatic both sets had to band together, and they're such like unlikely teammates, I guess, because they had all that drama together.
Yeah, I never even thought of that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so like there's all these little stories that you could make from this event just from how it played out, and I thought it played out really hype. The 5v2 that occurred. Everything going into it. But like me personally, going in, when I was sitting down next to Clockwork, I was probably the most nervous I've been since the last time I played Clockwork. The first time I played Clockwork at Revelations, which was my first major. So I was super fucking nervous.
You seemed like it in the car ride too. Like I asked you, I was like, "You got this, right?" And you're like, "I'll try." And I'm like, "What the hell is this?" I was like, "Win it!"
I was so nervous for some reason. And after I beat Clockwork, everything was just fine for me. Like I was like, okay.
Yo, you kicked his ass, dude.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Dude, I can't wait to see him so I could talk shit.
He was really sad from what I saw.
Good. I'd like to see him sad.
How did you feel when you beat a Fnatic's boyfriend though? Like that must have been a big one.
Yeah, I knew I was gonna win that one, to be honest. And I was like, he
No,
perfected me, and I was like, I was smiling. I was like, I got the next one. I don't really care about this. And yeah, it felt good. It
yeah,
was
I knew
good.
your team was going to hold up there. You just had to hold off Spencer, and then it was game over.
Yeah.
Well, Hanzo, you participated in NorCal Knockouts, which we put together. I guess that was like it seems like years ago, but that was only like 6 months ago. And then now Aftershock. What's your thoughts on these types of events, these invitationals?
I love these types of events. I think they're really cool. I think they're really neat. You know, they bring a lot of attention to individual players that might not get it as much. They build like attention in the scene, I guess, because like with weekly tournaments, you get this kind of like draw, like not many like blow ups happen. You know, but at an invitational, it's all just blow ups. Like someone loses, you're like, oh shit, like what the fuck are you doing? Like people betting money, you
Yeah.
know, like just crazy shit is always happening at invitationals usually.
All right,
So
oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
I just really like them. I think they're a really good idea.
Right. Yeah. No. I think they're a lot of fun to put together too. Like I was running the stream and Chris doing the videos and then Offcast was there helping out and Harrison. So everybody involved. We really came together and like try to really put together like a really something that's just really entertaining to watch. And I think it was put together really well and it was a lot of fun and it's sort of the same as like NorCal Knockout, same sort of thing. Just putting together all the pieces and then just executing it. And then the fact that these videos live online forever, you can go back and watch them. It's always a lot of fun. But Magus, I want you to talk a little bit about Drew Crimey because this was really funny in the promo video. Like none of the Southtown guys, or not,
Southtown, none of the SoCal guys had a clue who he was, and Chris perfectly edited this. Like this guy couldn't have been more prophetic about it, but also because we had been hyping this guy up in NorCal, and he, like David and James would like hit me up on Skype or something, and be like, "Do you like lean over with the hand over the mouth, like, hey, do you really think they have a chance?" Like, and I'm like, just wait. I'm like, you guys have no clue. I'm like, you guys have no fucking clue. Like these guys are murderers, like these guys will murder you, and Drew is just one of those guys where like he's a beast and he's got a very cheap team and he plays it really well. His defense is solid. He trains with the best. And they just work the game at a different level. Like, I think they play the game differently. Like they're just playing the game differently than a lot of these people, and their approach to it is different. So,
do you know if this is Drew's first fighting game? Because I've never seen this guy play any other fighting games before Marvel.
No,
First
it's not his.
competitive.
Yeah, it's his first competitive. It's not his first fighting game though.
Okay.
But I mean, it might as well be because when you make a competitive step, everything changes. But
Yeah, I was just gonna say something about that. I agree. Who gives a shit? First competitive is what matters.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, right. Yeah, sorry, you cut out there for a second. Yeah, I completely agree. I was mashing like some weird fighting games like World Heroes before I ever started taking games.
At a laundromat. Who cares?
That's why I love when you ask somebody like, how long have you been playing fighting? You're like, oh, I played ST, and I'm like, I haven't seen you at no arcades.
Yeah.
So that's
I never seen you around.
Right. So either way, this might as well be his first fighting game, and just his meteoric rise through the ranks, and now he's got everybody talking, even the East Coast, and so it's pretty interesting. But just looking at how he, how he defeated so many people that first round is kind of a funny story. Like I think he played great. I don't have the list in front of me of who he beat, but he basically just mauled, all the way to Infrid or Fnatic, whoever the end bosses were of the bracket he had to run to, and defeated those two enemies. And he thought it was basically like done. Like he thought they won the whole thing,
Like,
So like he just had this like huge like, yeah, we did it, and then it's like, all right, now here's the other one, and then right, and then he's like, oh shit, and then he had to play Wintinel, and Wintinel was probably like, yes, like I can't wait to like body him, and Drew's like probably still trying to like get his adrenaline pumping again, so that's kind of bad for your psyche and your psychology of going into battle is when you've kind of already mentally started to cool down. So that may have been a reason of why we saw him start the first round kind of a little shaky. But
But you know what? At the end of the day, he already pulled his weight. You know what I mean?
did,
It's
right?
like when I watched it and he lost in that second set, I was like, whatever, dude. You can take the day off, man. You know,
Yeah.
like you killed everybody. And you know, for those of you listening right now and didn't catch the stream or haven't watched the archives, go back and watch like the last, I don't know, like 3 or 4 matches of that first round with Drew. It's crazy. He just goes nuts, you know.
Yeah.
And he just you know really put a bunch of those guys to sleep. So it was that was really impressive. But what I thought was really just equally impressive was KB's, because Kevin is a guy that we've seen play Marvel in various games, you know, over the years, and he's just been like, he's just one of those guys like almost there. You know what I mean?
We said it once. We've always said, you know, he's probably both of our favorite players to watch, and
Yeah.
we've always felt like, man, we've talked about it all the time. We're like, man, if he just like took that extra defensive step in his game, like that different perspective of learning like a defensive play style, like he would be the best. Like he would be the best. Like
well, what I've seen with Kevin a lot is that, you know, he'll get to where he wants to, or he'll be like in the grand finals or something, and it doesn't even matter what the match is, but he'll just like kind of like start laughing and just, you know, have, you know, just not really be taking things that seriously and start doing like these crazy combos or go for stuff that he doesn't really, you know, he can't necessarily land all the time, and just like drops like these weird like situational combos or whatever the case may be. But at Aftershock, there was none of that bullshit, man. Like
no
he
bullshit,
just,
man.
yeah, he hit him hard, man. And he clutched it out against Fnatic. Came back with the X Factor level 3 Magneto, and you know, I was just sitting there running the stream, watching this match. I was, oh my god, I was on the edge of my seat.
I was on the floor.
Yeah.
You're just going back. I was literally on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so if KB's didn't win this, we had to run it back another time, another Waseda set, 3 out of 5. Like Hansa, what was going through your mind in those final matches with KB's?
I just wanted to pull him out just so he can like be the savior, you know, the
Right.
savior of NorCal. I thought it would be awesome for him, and he did it. If he didn't do it, I would have been like, you know, it's understandable. You can't put the team on your back that much, because if you look in the last set, he beat 5 people that set.
Right. So talk about that second set a little bit, because that was like, I mean, even Magus here was like, these guys are never gonna win this crap. Like what?
Yeah, okay.
Like going into that, it was you and Kevin, right?
Okay, so the first round happens. Me, Patrick, Kevin win. Everyone else loses in like spectacular fashion, and so it's really just 3 versus 5, and then Patrick just loses.
Yeah, and SoCal looks hungry too.
Yeah, they were mad. We had a 10-minute break between the first and second. They were all huddling around, you know, like not happy. They were not happy that they lost. So they were probably strategizing or just hungry, like just mad that I was trolling them even. And so it was 5 versus 2, and you know, you had the moment where Ultra David was like, you know, Evo top 8, Evo top 8, Evo top 8. KB and Hanzo comes out. No one thought that we could do it, but in my mind, I was like, if it's going to happen anyway, it probably was going to happen this way. It'd be funny if it happened. And then it did, so I don't know. I wasn't really nervous those matches when I played Knives and Wintinol again.
Wintinol, yeah.
But I can only imagine what KB is. He looked like he was like falling apart, but it didn't transfer to his gameplay, thank God.
Yeah, he's you know, the way he plays is just so quick. I feel like his opponents just weren't really getting an understanding of what was going on. And, you know, he plays a character that's unique to SoCal, and he plays her, you know, in a unique way above that even. So it's
Viper,
just,
you mean?
yeah, in C Viper. And, like, you know what I noticed, Hanzo, is he's really starting to zone with C Viper, and he was really using that jam session well. So that was a big, that's exactly what it reminded me of, was exactly like Crisis. And, you know, it was same with the jam session and everything. Crisis is a big fan of that. So I know KB's, he's probably thanking Crisis out there because that translated to his game so well. Like that complemented it so like the way he disassembled Combo Fiend's team and basically made it look unplayable was just like that basically proved my theories of the game right there.
Yeah, I was about to reference the Combo Fiend match. If you look at it, like his Viper I-Beam, it hit Combo Fiend like almost every time. And Combo just did not know what to do. And like when Kevin's Magneto was in the match, he just run away from his Combo Fiend's entire team, and Combo Fiend's like Alpha and just like lost.
I mean, he had some nail biters there though. I mean, there's some situations where like I was left wondering like why didn't he just kill this character? I forget. I think it might have been. I think it was against like against Wintnell where like he left his Wesker alive and he still had like X Factor. I don't know what the match was, but there's a handful of moments like that where it's like, oh my god, this character is still alive. He still has X Factor. It's it. We're going to the third set. We're going to be here till 2 a.m. Like, just kill me now. but yeah, he clutched it out and did really well. And I think KB's is just. He's just like one of those players you want to be a top player because he's a good guy. He plays stylish. He plays these cool teams. It's easy to get behind his gameplay, but you really it's just one of those players you really want to see him succeed. So it's pretty awesome to see him do that. Eris, you said that you were able to catch a little bit of the stream.
Yeah, I was watching. I tried to watch all of it, but there was stuff going on. But I had it on the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on these types of events? I know you like Tekken Busters and shit. Would you like to see more of this kind of stuff, maybe like for Tekken, or like what are your thoughts on Invitationals?
Yeah, I think they're cool. I think you guys at I Play Winner do a really good job of it. I feel like you guys are among all the the fighting game streamers and stuff. You guys are really creative with your presentation. I always feel like I'm kind of like sitting down and watching like someone present their diorama in like the 3rd grade and shit. You guys are really good at like these projects where you guys all come together and like have this experimental idea and then you execute it with these videos and stuff. And I'm always happy about that. So you guys have like, 4 thumbs up with that. As far as the way it turned out, of course, everyone loves it when nobody has faith and everyone's talking shit about Hanzo Gonzo. And then, it turns out, I mean, I'm telling you, I was telling him earlier at the arcade, dude. I mean, the talk of the town was, why the fuck is Hanzo Gonzo on the NorCal team? I mean, people that don't even give a shit about Marvel, like the bitches at the Chinese bakery next door, they're making bread and stuff for me, and they're like, what's Hanzo Gonzo doing on the NorCal team? So, it was really cool seeing that. The fairy tale ending was dope, and the presentation was great, so I'm with it. I love that kind of shit.
So fuck those penny chicks.
Yeah, they're whack.
So there are people talking about the event at the arcade. I mean, were you watching it at the arcade, or is it your house?
No, I was at home. I didn't watch it at the arcade, but I'm sure they had it on there. They usually do with the
they had it
streams
at
and stuff. Yeah, but I watched it at home, and it was great. I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. So you think something like this will work pretty well with Tekken if it's like executed the same way?
I think it might work a little too well, actually.
Yeah, because I can think of a couple guys.
Yeah, Tekken has some loudmouth goons, and I know how some of the Marvel players, Marvel has some big mouths too, but I don't know why they, like I said earlier, they were all, they had their tails between their legs in those interviews, and I don't think that's gonna happen with Bronson and like loudmouth Vietnamese people like Bronson and shit. So
yeah, and I would like to see your promo. I'm sure it would be
yeah.
Too.
Speak naked.
So
it was great. I enjoyed it.
So I just want to give a big thanks to everybody involved. Made Aftershock happen. It's pretty crazy that in my mind it's pretty crazy that they were able to pull something like this off. Just just with a limited amount of time and just trying to pull together these gracious sponsors like Kugi at Broken Tier, these guys at KOCast. They went out of their way to get a venue for us. Of course, Ultra David and James Chen going way out of their way to stick with us on Skype and go through all our stupid ideas, day in and day out. And of course, Adark, based here in NorCal, those guys are huge supporters of the fighting game scene. And of course, Shuriken.com. Without that support, like this, it wouldn't have happened like the way that it did. So I just want to give a big shout out to all the guys that helped out. One other thing I want to touch on when it comes to Aftershock though is that this is one thing I don't think anybody predicted, even the people who were there at the venue. On the tail end of the broadcast, it's David and Magus were talking about basically like, whatever happened at Aftershock, it was a great event, it was awesome, but at the end of the day, West Coast is better than East Coast at Marvel.
Yeah, and then Yipes came and hijacked it, man.
Yeah, then Yipes hijacked the transmission. Wait a minute, and it basically said that whenever the West Coast is ready, they're ready to go to war out there on the East Coast. So, Hanzo, I know you follow a lot of these East Coast players on Twitter. What do you think? You think that shit's free?
I think I think a region of the West Coast could be the entirety of the East Coast in my mind. And obviously I'm biased, but Jesus Christ, I watch almost every stream on the East Coast, even Florida, and I do not know where they're getting their confidence from, to be honest, because they just get fucking dismantled by like 3 people.
Nope.
Like Flocker runs Florida fucking almost free. Chris G and Yipes just basically have a domain over the entirety of the Northeast. So, like, I really don't understand where they're coming from.
Well, Magus, do you think there's any quote-unquote Drew Grimies out there on the East Coast, like any secret weapons that we're not ready for?
Maybe not as good looking, but there's probably some, there's some killers out there that I would say your typical, like, not, your non-stream monster viewer probably wouldn't know anything about. Like somebody like Hanzo would recognize them, but if you were just sitting down watching a production and you're like, okay, I'll watch this because it's telling a story and it's interesting to me. Like there's a lot of people in the East Coast, and not just New York.
Maybe like Flux. I think Flux comes to mind. Like
Flux,
there's a ton of names. Yeah, there's a lot of names you could throw around there, but the idea of having like a West Coast versus East Coast is really cool. Actually, Filipino Champ just said something. He said the East Coast needs to challenge Florida or Georgia before trying to talk to the West Coast.
That's a pretty good one.
I think maybe like in the East Coast they could have a little battle out there and see who's actually useful. Because I agree with Hanzo. I just don't see him really doing anything. I think our players are better. They're smarter. The teams are cheaper. We have more players.
I wish Spooky was on this call. I'd like to hear his perspective.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he'd probably just be agreeing with me.
Dude, I was listening to Spooky's commentary during, like, he was commentating my match at Aftershock on his Big 2 stream or whatever. Or, I mean, the Tekken stream they were doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was like, who is, like he did not expect me to do as well as I did. And, like, I just don't think he has a perspective on the West Coast that's entirely valid.
Well, come on, man. I don't think anyone was expecting you to do as well as you
did.
Let's be honest.
I did.
Well, so I mean, what about guys like Ray, man? Like I went to Big 2, man, and Ray was doing some shit with Magneto that honestly guys out here aren't really doing. Like he's very solid with like Magneto.
Ray is really, really good. I play him online a lot, and we actually have a really good connection. So he's very good. But then he'll go and lose to someone like OMG It's Andre, and then everything's just in question again. Like,
yeah, they have wild cards. Like, is OMG It's Andre? Is he considered East Coast?
He's East Coast enough.
I guess,
is he their secret weapon? No,
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
they have a lot of good players. You could talk about Yipes, Chris G, Marlon Pie, Master CJ still over there. There's a lot of players that would be threats to, and also like if it's a West Coast team, like what does that mean? Like all of California or just the NorCal team going back up to them? Like so it's kind of one of those things, because if it's just the NorCal team, well then it would have to be like just NYC or something and not Long Island, or you see what I mean? So
yeah,
it's kind of like you'd have to figure something out.
Well, one thing I know is it needs to be on neutral ground. It needs to be on neutral ground, and I think it would be awesome if we had it.
Just like Santa Barbara.
I think it'd be awesome if he had it at Arcade UFO. What do you say, Foo Barduck?
That's a pretty cool idea.
I think that's sick.
Yeah, West Coast versus East Coast. Last I checked, Texas was the median exact halfway point between California and New York.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. maybe I don't know. Maybe it's. I know you guys have some killers down there too. Like
I'll just say it. I like Texas's top 5 over East Coast top 5.
I do too.
Wow.
I do too.
Wow. We should run that. We should run that.
Honestly,
I like Texas over East. He doesn't even mention West Coast. He just says I like him over East Coast.
There's
I
no
don't know.
need to mention.
Didn't Chris G go down and bop you guys?
Ooh.
he did win. However, Stone bodied Chris G in a money match on the side.
Okay,
Who gives a shit about a money match, dude? Come on, dude. Tournament
Money
results.
match is important too, man.
No, it ain't. No, it ain't.
I mean, that's
Dude,
putting your
I've
money where your
I've
mouth is.
thrown money matches.
Our
Chris,
whole
it's
thing-
not money
on.
match is not as important. I do agree with you. However, the format of a region versus region type event is closer to a money match, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it's not the format that makes it less relevant. It's the fact that it's for money rather than a recorded tournament win. You know, Who gives a shit? I've thrown money matches to sandbag people and make them think something about myself. Who cares? That person walked away from that money match saying, "Oh, I kicked the shit out of Eris," but no, he didn't. I let him win so that I could, when I play him in the tournament, I could fuck him up.
I respect that. You actually use that line?
No, I'm serious. Like literally, I've played money matches, and it's worth my $10 to make this guy think that I'm always gonna duck. Because if I play him in the tournament, he's gonna get ruined. So money matches don't mean shit to me personally.
I would like, and the more I'm thinking about it, I would like to see a Texas team, though.
I would, too. Texas got a bunch of killers.
Yeah, yeah. So you have Mihei, Jan. Well, you have Mihei and Jan.
Yeah. to be totally honest, what I would do is I would take, if it were me forming the team, if I was the Gestapo here, I would take the top three Houston players, which are, in my opinion, Mihei, Jan, and Rubik's.
Oh yeah, Rubik's. Yeah.
And well, arguably Stone. I don't want to, put it in. I don't want to say put it in stone. So I would take 3 of those 4 people, perhaps by lottery because they're all very good, and then
Jerry's
and then take not Jerry. Jerry would be like. You would be like the very last person on the bottom of the alt list.
Wow.
The water boy.
Oh no, Jerry, too bad.
Like the bottom of the C bench.
Bad.
Anyway, but real talk, Jerry has gotten a lot better in Marvel, but he's still not like. I mean, he can't beat me more games than I beat him, and I'm S.
Wow.
So that having been said,
Money exhibition match, you versus Jerry.
that being said,
on the big screen.
I like 3 guys from Houston. I like 3 guys from Houston, 1 guy from Austin, 1 guy from Dallas. That would be my team.
That sounds good. Very regional. Lots of different spots.
Well, either way, I like all the passion behind these exhibition matches. Even talking about like East Coast versus West Coast, like it's got everybody like super hyped up. On YouTube, Twitter. Now we're trying to bring like Texas into the mix.
Right, well, I think before we get like an East Coast versus West Coast, there should be some other things settled.
Shouldn't there be like a gatekeeper, so to speak?
Right, like some other things need to be settled. Like what about the center of the United States? What about
West.
the middle?
Hey, we're the third coast, okay?
Right.
A lot of people
The
don't realize
coast
this.
of Mexico.
Texas is the second highest populated state in the United States. So
See?
Well, that
We're
is
just-
very interesting information. Good to know.
Now I know that.
Glazing over 'em?
So what do you guys think of this subtitle? Aftershock 2, Seismic Slobber Knocker.
What is it with you and that word, man? You've been
Slobber
pulling for
knocker.
that for so long.
What? All right.
Slobber knocker.
I'm just thinking like wrestling and shit.
Yeah.
Right. Aftershock was awesome. If you guys missed the stream, check out the replays. Everything's except the KOF matches are up on YouTube right now. YouTube.com/iPlayWinner. We are going to sign off here shortly, but I don't know if you guys have anything you want to plug. Hanzo Gonzo, your Twitter account.
It's at Celine Dion.
At Celine Dion. All right, at Hanzo Gonzo. Eris, I know you have you do sort of like a bi-weekly kind of stream at Super Arcade, right?
Yeah, we stream from Super Arcade on the Twitch channel, which is Avoiding the Puddle. and I have been making tutorials, and making tutorials sucks, but I want people to play Tekken Tag 2, so you could check those out on the YouTube channel, which is Avoiding the Puddle.
Okay, and then they find them on the website too, avoidingthepuddle.com.
Yeah.
Things on there too. Okay, yeah. Fuberduck?
Yeah, I'm at Fuberduck on Twitter, and of course, I run Arcade UFO in Texas. Also, follow the YouTube channel for Arcade UFO because I've been uploading a lot of content to that. It's youtube.com/user/Arcade UFO.
Right, and then you have the Tuesday broadcast with Frida Ammo Game, where you're still doing that too, right?
That's right. We still do that. Recorded one just this morning actually, and we still do Ammo Game TV every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Central Time, which is 6 a.m. West Coast, 9 a.m. East Coast. And yeah, that's every Tuesday morning, which is actually Tuesday night in Japan. Of course, the broadcast is aimed mostly towards Japanese viewers, but we do have a few Westerners that tune into the show every week as well. And I try to answer questions in English.
Westerners.
And then, but they can catch the replays on YouTube too. Yeah, I've seen them on the feed.
Sure enough.
And then Magus, where are you gonna be at next?
I'm gonna be on my ass playing Tekken. You can find me at Magus1234, and kids, watch out for those Cracker Jacks. They'll kill you.
Yeah, the real winner of Aftershock was
Chocolate bars and Cracker Jacks. They'll kill you.
Exactly. So you can follow us on Twitter at iPlayWinner. And iPlayWinner.com will let you know, find out the next episode of the Fray on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/iPlayWinner. You find all the Aftershock replays there. Did I already plug Haunts? I don't know. You can follow me on Twitter at Haunts. And yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Oh, I want to say follow Chris Seg, Chris CEG on Twitter. He's the guy who put together all those cool promos for Aftershock. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and we will catch you next time. Peace out.